Good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia with me, Edward Amara. Welcome to the latest developments on the continent where we give you information and we come up with the latest development on the continent of Africa where we entertain and we adequately inform you about almost every development that occur in Africa. And Focus on Africa endeavor to ensure that we bring you all our latest development on the continent, especially where we inform Africans about Africa and we report the continent to you and we expect your views and we carefully inform you about things that are very important on the continent and things that are actually like security threat. Focus on Africa normally does this on a daily basis, and at the same time we try to sample opinions, views, things that actually matter on the continent. Today we are having too many important stories on the continent, stories that matter to Africa and stories that actually we have a positive effect on our African society. We all know, we understand, and we see how the continent have actually been striving to survive amid the COVID-19, political destabilization, frequent coup, things that we experienced in the 1980s. It went back now in the in the late 2020s or early 2020s. We are now seeing that coup are now reoccurring on the continent, things that we never thought would have actually been part and parcel of Africa. Nevertheless, Focus on Africa endeavors to ensure that we sample these opinions. So you are welcome to this important news platform. I am the West African correspondent, Edward Amara, based in Kenema City, Sierra Leone. I'm sorry for the audio yesterday and I think the day before yesterday. I think it is because of our poor networking system. Sometimes we experience into the country. So let's start first with Nigeria. In Nigeria, sometimes ago I reported here on a senator who was found guilty alongside his wife and other medical practitioners for dubiously trafficking a man into the UK to harvest his kidney for his daughter who is actually pursuing a course in Newcastle University. And the senator 60, his wife 56, his lawyer 50, and other people, we are sentenced to we are sentenced to a long time imprisonment because of the heinous crime that they committed against that particular citizen. The man was taken to the UK uninformed about his mission. He was only told that when he gets into the UK, he will be given an opportunity. Upon arrival into the UK, he was ordered to undergo an operation where his kidney will be harvested. But when the doctor noticed that the man was not informed and not properly counseled, on the lifelong decision that he was about to take, and having observed the man's financial situation, this man was not actually in position to continue supporting himself with life-saving drugs. So the doctor disclosed to him about the intricacy and the implication of the decision he was just about to make. This man became panicked and he decided to leave the hospital. He arrived into one of the police stations into the UK, London Basin, and he reported himself and told the police about his being into London and why he decided to escape the hospital. The senator was later on arrested and his crew who were involved actually into this dubious practice were arraigned to court and they were found guilty. President Obasanjo is actually seeking leniency for organ-trafficking senator. He is appealing to the magistrate who sentenced this particular who sentenced the perpetrators on various type of imprisonment for the court to appear or to apply leniency or to tamper mercy with justice on ground that what the man did is abominable, it is unacceptable, and it is not tolerable into any civilized society. However, the court should also put themselves into a position as a parent and realize that the man did it with the good intention of saving his daughter, who regularly undergoes kidney dialysis to save her life. But he did it without consent. I believe that to harvest somebody's kidney, maybe in one or two ways legal, provided that the person who is donating the kidney fully consented, written document, it is on his or her own volition, then you can go ahead to doing it. So does it mean that this poor man does not have the right to be informed on donating one of his vital organs? It is because of poverty that this so-called senator, who is a well-established guy, 60, his wife Beatrice 60, 56, Obinan Obeta, who is a doctor, 50, all we are sentenced to 20. All we are sentenced for prison because they actually trafficked this man into London, from Lagos to London, to harvest his kidney. Obasanjo, in his letter, listen to what he said. In his letter, Mr. Obasanjo said that the couple did what was condemnable and can't be tolerated in any sane or civilized society. But he wanted the court to consider Senator Ikwumadu's sick daughter, whose health is in danger and requires urgent medical attention. He also told the court to consider the good character of the senator while sentencing him. It is unclear if Mr. Obasanjo's intervention will make any impact. The former president did not indicate if he was acting on behalf of the Nigerian government, but merely introduced himself as a soldier who was commissioned into the British Army of West Africa Frontier Force and who rose to become a full general in the Nigerian Army. These are some of his confirmations. But to me, maybe it's good, it depends, but I don't think whether this poor man kidney has to be harvested just because he's poor. If Senator Ikwuamadu wanted to do this thing on genuine ground, he should have informed him. But even the threat that is applied, that if the man did not offer his kidney and is deported into Nigeria, the kidney is going to be harvested at all costs, and he wouldn't be given a dime. So it's a treacherous act. The move was subversive, and it needs serious judicial punishment. If this man cannot be adequately punished, he and his family who were actually involved into this particular act, other Nigerians may end up doing it. Of course, the daughter is actually innocent. She wasn't punished because she had nothing to do with what happened. But the politician and his wife, including those who were involved, need to be severely punished. Then, okay, that is what happens into West Africa, that is Nigeria. Let's come into Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is actually in the southern part of Africa. Zimbabwe might criminalize foreign recruitment of medics. The Zimbabwean government, led by Emerson Mnangagwa, known as the Crocodile, who took power from Robert Mugabe some part of 2019, when they, in collaboration with one or two factions, swiftly took power from Robert Mugabe, placed him under house arrest, and decided to hunt Grace out of power, because Grace is not a war veteran and she had actually intention of taking over from Robert Mugabe. So since then, of course, the ZANU-PF have been faced with huge challenges. Of course, we know Emerson is definitely not free from what Robert Mugabe did. If you can check way back in 1988 in Matabeleland, He led the killing of over 2,000 Zimbabweans, especially those who stood against the teacher by then, Robert Mugabe leadership. So today, the Zimbabwean government is unable to pay, or I can say maybe it's practically unable to pay its medics. So most of those medical practitioners are actually leaving the society of Zimbabwe, seeking greener pastures, especially for places like London, where they are handsomely paid at the end of every month. And unfortunately, the Zimbabweans are now suffering because of lack of medical practitioners. But on paper, they have enough medical doctors who are trained and qualified and should be into the country. But yet the people are complaining. On numerous occasions, we have seen demonstrations against strike and other confrontation with the government in the name of salary. And this so-called Robert Mugabe, Emerson Mnangagwa government under ZANU-PF have not been able to adequately settle its arrears with some of its citizens. Inflation is on the high, and Zimbabwe have suffered from huge amount of sanctions from the West. Today she is aligning herself with people like Russia and China for them to offer an economic bailout. And unfortunately, patients are dying, patients are being abandoned into their hospitals because of lack of nurses and medical doctors. And on numerous occasions, these medical doctors found themselves in places abroad or overseas, to ensure that they actually have jobs that can be able to recruit food on the table for their family. So now the Zimbabwean government is criminalizing any attempt for these medical practitioners as well as Zimbabweans to leave the country to seek attention abroad. And they have also tabled their complaint to WHO to ensure that WHO adequately and swiftly intervene. Local media reported that more than 400 nurses and medical doctors left Zimbabwe from since 2021. So last month, the UK halted the recruitment of nurses and medical doctors from Zimbabwe. So according to the Zimbabwe Medical Association, the country has about 3,500 medical doctors for over 50 million population. Zimbabwe is also battling economic crisis that has seen wages disseminated by endless inflation. It doesn't matter how many Zimbabwean dollars you are paid. Maybe $100 will take almost every amount of money that you have been paid per month. And food crisis and other things are definitely on its high. So let's see Liberia. In Liberia, last week, we have seen a lot of development in terms of their political issues going on over there. Now, President George Mana Oponwe, I don't know the exact name, has signed a peace accord with the political parties, especially like the Commies, Joseph Numa Boakai, and his ruling party, to ensure that there is peace, or there will be peace before, during, and after a presidential election slated for October this year. We all know Liberia suffered a civil war that involved the like of President or the former detained and jailed President Charles Gangetilo, Charles Gakwana Gangetilo. Ellen Justice say we are also into this war. Prince Yaman Johnson, Alaji GB Kuloma, who is now dead, like Sheku Damati Kone, and different other, even Ellen Johnson Seri, the former president, Madam Ellen Johnson Seri, all of them we are involved into the war. And because this country have tasted war and is a backward country into Africa, looking at the illiteracy rate that is so high, poverty is so high, ignorance is so high, the society is so vulnerable, politicians normally exploit, there is vote buying, there is political intimidations. And when you listen and watch to people like Yeke Kaliba, is it Kaliba? Is he representing some areas in Monrovia or Montserrat County, or is it part of Lufa? He thunders some languages, insulting, maybe are not too much going down well, but it should also be the pebble on the page. So it is high time the government of Liberia call upon all political parties to ensure that they sign a peace accord that would make political parties to accept the outcome of the October presidential election. However, if anybody feels aggrieved, feels violated, then you have to channel your case to the right place, like seeking the country's Supreme Court. And those election petitions will be heard, and justice will be done, instead of calling on civilians or other people to take on the street. The government has also strictly warned that punishment will definitely be levied against people who may intend to disturb the peace of Liberians. We all know election is before. That is this the canvas whatsoever, the period that Liberia is going through now. During the time of the polls, and after, when this election results are being announced, you will see a lot of political crisis going on. All sorts of misinformation, infodemic will be circulating on social media. And watching that the society of Liberia, as I said, where illiteracy, poverty, and ignorance are on high, it is very easy for one to market maybe hateful speech, which will result into another chaotic situation. Liberia on its own has suffered civil war, and civilians who are quite used to the barrel are found within the system. And we have seen how public killing have been done. They associated it with ritual killings. And unlike Sierra Leone, in Liberia, you still have small arms in the hands of civilians that is so threatening to the population. And I think some time ago, some people were also arrested with arms and ammunition within their homes. So all of these things are actually alarming. That is why the government have moved swiftly to sign a peace accord with all political parties involved into the election, to ensure that during and after or before, during and after the election, peace and solidarity is being maintained into the country. And if anybody feels and thinks that your rights have been infringed upon, or your rights have been violated, or you won an election that we are not declared, seek the last hope of the common man, that is the judicial system. We don't know how independent the judicial system is going to be, and we hope and pray that the country electoral commission may be actually stable, and that particular country electoral commission should be able to render a free and fair election result, where families or people who are definitely involved into the election may not actually be intimidated in terms of their electioneering process. Because we have seen on numerous occasions in post-war countries like Liberia, where people have been intimidated, molested, and there are certain places where trouble is being carefully fermented. And if trouble is being fermented, they normally unleash this type of trouble on the society whenever an opportunity like that arises. I think this is a very good move for the Open government to have a correspondence with these people, to have a dialogue, talk with them, and ECOWAS, AU, UN, and other society are definitely observing. Of course, I cannot say they should seek any good example from a society like Nigeria, because Nigeria organized a very failed system where we have seen and witnessed odd things going on. Unfortunately, Liberia is trying maybe to accumulate very good responses from its civilians, from its international public. I think our political culture and political socialization also need to be carefully established. Citizens need to be adequately informed, and Liberians know the effect, the consequences of war. They know the ramification of war. However, poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance did not solve. When you watch at the Liberian society, it is as if war did not happen into the country to correct those anomalies. because corruption, infringement on people's rights, illiteracy, almost everything have heightened. So we don't know why the war was fought for, because the war was fought against corruption, or in general against bad governance, but still it is existing. So it is high time Liberians learn from their mistake, and we should learn how to correct things that we are having absolute control from, especially like using our knowledge to solve certain problems. But it is unfortunate that signs and symptoms, the political temperature being currently seen into Liberia, is not actually healthy for the coming election. And we believe after October general election, whosoever is declared the winner, other opposition parties should actually listen to it. So we go back to Nigeria. A very funny but interesting story. Nigeria rooster loses court battle over noise complaint. It's very funny but absolutely interesting. That was why yesterday, I was having a story yesterday where the former bank governor of Nigeria, Muhammad Sanusi, clearly stated that Nigerian society is definitely divided more than ever, even after 50 years after the Biafran War was fought into Nigeria, because ethnic tension and religious mentality have deeply divided the country, and it has infected even the political system, where people do not give out their own rational decision without being involved into ethnicity and religious mentality. And that will continue to divide the society. It is going to breed generation that may see themselves as enemies living into the same country. It is only in Nigeria where Christians observe Muslims as enemies and Muslims observe Christians as enemies. Their voting pattern and religious mentality, ethnicity is so high. So let's see what happened in Kano. It's very interesting. We all know Kano is a city into the north, dominated by Muslims. We still have 3 Christians. In a neighborhood, a Christian bought a rooster, and that rooster is actually meant to be killed tomorrow according to the court order, and it should be actually eaten on Monday, Easter Monday, as a Christian festival. We all know what Easter Monday means. We all know that was the day where Jesus Christ maybe rose from the tomb. But according to neighbors, they said the cockerel from the rooster is disturbing the neighborhood, and they are demanding that the Christian fellow should kill the rooster, because the rooster is serving as a nuisance in the community, which is infringing upon their human right. Based on that, the case was taken to court. The man appealed that the court should grant him some amount of leniency and allow him to maintain the rooster till the festive, which is Easter Monday, for it to be killed and eaten by his family. The court has ordered the man to maintain the rooster today, but tomorrow it should be killed, maybe carefully packed for Monday, because it is the people's right. All that tell is just religious mentality. Let us assume that it is for days of during Ramadan day, then somebody comes with goat or cow where they blisters. Will you say they should stop their blistering and kill them until Ramadan day? So I think Nigeria is a really deeply divided society, and people should be very careful on how they should do. They say the Magistrate Halima Wali granted a question on Tuesday, but warned him to prevent the cockerel from the roaming the area and disturbing reddies. Does this man have the right to prevent the cock from crowing? He doesn't have the right. So it is unfortunate and quite amazing and so interesting that things like that are happening into Nigeria. And all we have been seeing is like Nigeria is a deeply divided society, and people should be very cautious of what goes on, and we should prevent ourselves being divided based on religious mentality. We are still into Nigeria. I am being pressured to leave Nigeria. Peter Obi. According to few days back, the Nigerian army claimed that some failed politicians, known and unknown, have the intention to disturb Bola Ahmed Tinubu's slated inauguration on the 29th of May 2023. They have the intention to pile pressure on the court system not to allow Bola Ahmed Tinubu Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be inaugurated. And if the court decide going ahead, then they are going to call protests all over the country to make the country chaotic, volatile, ungovernable, and to throw into a total pandemonium. We are civil war, be wrecked, and they be end up to seize power. And the military has strictly warned that any attempt like that is punishable by death. But Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is claiming that it's a threat, and they want to intimidate them, and they will not be afraid. Now, he is claiming that they have been pressuring him to leave Nigeria by claiming that he is sick or he sought some amount of religious affiliation, especially with the Christian society, to ensure that the Christians should not accept any result that are being declared in the name of Muslim. And they have a kind of audio circulating purporting that it was Peter Obi communicating with those religious leaders. But he's claiming that the audio is a well-doctored one. He knows nothing about it, and he's not going to be pressured to leave the Nigeria society. So we have a chaotic situation, and we're all watching Nigeria with our eyes open to ensure that what is being carefully fermented over there should not be given the opportunity to breed out, or else the Nigerian society is so big to understand that we cannot afford to accommodate their fleeing citizens. So let's come to Ghana. Nice suspect. Let's come to Ghana. In Ghana, the army is actually declined. In Ghana, the army has actually deployed in some area in the northern part of the country with its border with Burkina Faso. Because Burkina Faso is definitely facing what I call jihadist insurrection. And the insurrection of the jihadists over there has created a chaotic situation that even in Burkina Faso itself, they are not be able to maintain their own perfect peace. So yesterday, an immigration officer was actually killed. So the Ghanaian army has deployed some officers over there to ensure that such incident like that does not occur. And the existence of this jihadist movement around this area is not actually healthy for the Sahel region, especially for Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, the Gambia, Niger, all of these countries, Togo. We are not helping the situation, and the situation is not being kind to us. So if they have started disturbing Ghana, who knows what may happen next. So the Ghanaian army is actually deployed from troops to ensure that incidents like that are actually being prevented, and I hope they are collaborating with the Burkina Faso government to ensure that things like that are actually prevented. So two Liberians have actually been sentenced in South Korea for raping a woman, or raping two women again. So their sentence, the Liberian government is actually calling upon the South Korean government to release the result of the trials and the proceeding into the court, and to also communicate this thing to their family into Liberia, and they want to see how fair this particular justice was actually being made into the court. And the Liberians are also claiming that they are innocent and they were wrongly accused, but actually they have been found guilty. So the Liberian government is actually negotiating with the South Korean government either to extradite them to Liberia to serve their prison term, or to be in South Korea, but to ensure that they have been fairly treated, provided that they did not appeal against the sentence, or even if they do, they did not win the appeal case. So let's come into Kenya. In Kenya, the main opposition leader, Raila Odinga, is demanding a review of the constitution. In 2007, under then President Mwai Kibaki, Raila Odinga contested election. He lost the election. He called for popular demonstration, and out of the popular demonstration, by then the late UN Secretary General was alive, Kofi Annan. Kofi Annan led a delegation into Kenya. They ended up to form a government of national unity, where Raila Odinga was given the opportunity to serve as a prime minister under Mwai Kibaki. by then. Now, he has also failed to win the election in 2022. He's calling for popular demonstration to even review the 13 years constitution that was created 10 years back. And secondly, he's asking that the constitution should reinstate the sack 3 electoral commissioners. And secondly, the government should not discuss the case in parliament. And he's also demanding that it should not be a case like winners take all. In short here, when the president wins an election into Kenya, all the members or the cabinet members have been appointed by Mr. President. He's claiming that even if the president does win an election, then most of the members of parliament or cabinet members should also come from the opposition party, instead of just appointing the members from the ruling party. However, the ruling party is also claiming that how can he appoint somebody to lead a key ministerial position when that person is not in the first place in support of your policies? So it's a very controversial decision, and critics are even saying that Mr. Odinka want to sweep away into the governance system, just as he did in some part back in 2007 when he won the election. I think this was not brought into the news, but cocaine, 1.5 tons of cocaine have been seized in Guinea. Authorities in Guinea have seized 1.5 tons of cocaine from a ship flying the Sierra Leone flag. So this is a very, 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 very important, maybe and worrying situation. The crew included 4 Sierra Leoneans, 3 Ghanaians, and 3 Guineans, according to the AFP news agent. They have all been arrested, the Guinean television report. Authorities found more than 60 bags, each containing 25 kg, 3.9 stone of cocaine, the Reuters news says. So have you seen what is happening today in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea? The other time, along the border of Liberia and Sierra Leone, cocaine was also being seized. Today, cocaine have been seized. 1.5 stone of cocaine have been seized in Guinea, and those involved into the cocaine deal involved Sierra Leoneans, Ghanaians, and Guineans. And the cocaine was actually being transported through a flag, a ship carrying Sierra Leone flag. No wonder the the Equatorial Guinea government the other time strictly put a law binding some of these flags or ships carrying their flags in the name of free port system. So finally, we come into Burundi, into East Africa. A governor over there have actually overruled the order of a magistrate who said a woman should leave in 74 or in 24 hours. Let me just give you the news. The provincial governor in Northeast Burundi has dissolved the decision of the mayor to force a female resident out of the area after others accuse her of taking their husbands. A letter giving the woman 24 hours to leave, signed by Butinda District Mayor Gilbert Nikamsobado, made the rounds on social media. For such behavior aimed at breaking marriages, that a woman must leave Butinga district from the 7th of April 2023 mayor letter reads. Some social media users criticized the mayor decision, while others supported it as infidelity and an increase in divorce are currently concerning the people in Burundi. The woman in the letter hasn't publicly commented. Hours after the letter was shared, Muyinga province announced on Twitter that the mayor's decision was annoyed by the governor for not abiding by the law. Recently, Burundi First Lady publicly condemned infidelity and targeted single women for breaking off marriages. Sierra Leone and Liberia, I hope you are hearing. Single women are now being ordered to leave certain residents, especially in Burundi, where their affiliations with married couples are seen as reckoning other people home. And we all know what divorce, single parents, and how broken marriages have contributed to the deterioration of our society. Thank you very much. It's been me, Edward Amara, with Focus on Liberia. giving you latest development on the continent. Join me back tomorrow, same time, same place. Good night. Thank you for watching.